Hey everyone, AquaTwist here. For those of you who don't know, I served as the lead instructor for the Summer Unity program at Boston Cyberarts, a small art-based company within the capital city of Massachusetts. While I'm no longer the lead instructor for the program, I still served as a curriculum coordinator and advisor for this year's iteration of the program. For the high school kids who participated, I designed them a curriculum exploring the complete cycle of game development over the course of 6 weeks. As part of the introductory phase, I incorporated Nintendo's own design tools to gamify fundamental skills of game development. With games such as Game Builder Garage, WarioWare DIY, and Project Spark, there is a huge untapped potential in bridging the gap between game players and game designers, especially among youth. I believe they are an excellent starting point for anyone who wants to learn how to create their own games. Their accessible interfaces and charming tools allows players to be more engaged with these core STEM concepts. Thus, these interactive experiences can teach more about game design than a typical video or lecture. As a class, we built a level in Super Mario Maker 2 over the course of 2 days, and here's how we got there. Before we jump straight into Mario Maker 2, I introduced the class to the excellent Cadences video by Patrick Holloman. It analyzes a level design technique from Super Mario World, where an idea is introduced, then expanded and evolved gradually as a level progresses. These cadences help play a role in making games like Super Mario World feel timeless and still enjoyable today. The video is several years old now, but the general principle still holds up. I'll link the video in the card and description if you want to check it out for yourself. After showing the video, I turned to our students and asked, what do you want to see in our level? They began throwing out ideas: an airship, swinging claws, a water section, alternate routes, and a chase sequence. I recommended we base the level around a theme to make it easier to design for, and one of the students suggested a cruise, and the class voted on swinging claws, an airship, and an escape. And thus, Escape the Cruise was born. I assigned the 10 students into pairs, where each group would design their own section of the level. Super Mario Maker 2 has a co-op making mode, allowing 2 people to work on a level at the same time, which was really useful. Each group took turns using the switch to design the level. While the other groups were waiting, I encouraged them to sketch out their ideas for their sections. Some of the students even researched existing Mario Maker levels on YouTube for inspiration. To anyone who does this exercise in their classes, I'd make this a requirement, as finding references is necessary in the early stages of game development. Once we've gathered all of our ideas for the level, it was time to start creating. Before we even put a single block on screen, there was one final question to answer. Which Mario style do we want to use? Super Mario Maker 2 has 5 styles, each with different abilities and power-ups. For example, Mario can only use the Tanuki Leaf in Super Mario Bros. 3, and he can only do the long jump in Super Mario 3D World. The seemingly trivial step ties back to the planning phase of game development. Deciding the core mechanics and physics usually comes first, before any levels are built. If we change the style mid-development, we'd have to make major adjustments to account for the different phases, like adding wall jumping when the level wasn't designed around that. As a class, we decided to use Super Mario World as the style, based on the Cadences video we watched before. Then, we got to work. Thankfully, Mario Maker 2 allows you to use different themes for the main and sub-levels of the stage. So we used the airship theme for the main level and the water theme for the sub-level. We decided to start the course at the bottom of the cruise, and end off with you escaping from the top. This helped structure the level for the students, making each section feel cohesive and not out of place. As each group was designing their section on screen, the other instructors and I provided them constructive feedback. We tested the sections frequently to see how players would navigate through them. So eventually, obviously, we're not finished with the level yet. You definitely want to indicate that you can't go further right now. So maybe adding some long stretches of blocks maybe, or an arrow, just some way that the player knows you can't go anywhere else right now. You have to go through the pipe. Following this feedback came iteration, or the process of gradually making tweaks to something until it reaches a satisfying state. An example of this was the checkpoint flag. Originally, it was placed under the pipe. but as I was testing, I found reaching this flag was inconsistent.
Okay, I can kind of see where that's coming from. Maybe put the checkpoint at the start of the kitchen section, because I feel like that's like a weird position for it.
After suggesting to place the flag on the ground just to the left of the pipe, students playing later always passed through it. Once the session was complete, the group had to playtest their sections again from start to finish. Frequent playtesting, especially from people who did not design the game itself, cannot be overlooked. Look at how Cyberpunk 2077 was during its initial launch.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Playtesters and QA testers are essential parts of any game's development team, and this level was no exception. As I and the other instructors did not directly build on this stage, we were able to catch problems the students didn't notice. Nate Jonty, the current lead of the summer program, reminded the students how different people play levels in other ways, and the design should be accommodating as such. One student, who had years of experience with Mario Maker, was able to break one of the sections by flying with the cape.
That's why we play tests. Completely broken.
The greatest cheat code in Mario history.
Normally, I'd have the students heavily alter this portion of the level, maybe adding walls of blocks to prevent players from flying over everything. However, for the sake of time, we just simply removed the cape from the level entirely. Each group also had to save the level once the portion was done. Even in an era of automatic saving and cloud storage, I can't stress enough the importance of manual saving, especially in a modeling software like Blender, where if you make a critical mistake, you can always revert to the previous version, instead of starting over from scratch. With how exponential the cost and graphical fidelity of games have gotten over the last few years, developers have to optimize their time as much as possible. They can't easily start over if they aren't happy with where a level is going. But after all that time is spent, it's time to move on to the final phase. After all of the students designed their sections of the level, we gave it a final run through to see how each part worked as a whole, not individually.
So this is the process one more time, but now we have more sound effects added, and we made some balancing adjustments to the level to make it a bit more challenging towards the end.
We continued iterating, such as adding spiny enemies to the track section increased the challenge, until we felt the level was complete.
What if instead of this, so there's two ways you can do it. We can keep this and make it so you start on the bone claw and you jump off of it, or we can have some form of hazard on that goes back and forth on the railing. What do you all think? What's that? So a hazard on the railing? Sure. So why don't we have it so because there's spinies later in the level, we're gonna add on the spikes. And it forces you to jump onto the claw to avoid them. So let's say, spread them out. Probably something like this. The bone's a good idea, but the thing is with the bone, you can easily go on the railing and just walk through. And it's like, what's the point of the claw? Now let's test it. If we made this a bit lower, right? If we made this a bit lower and then try it, now it's dangerous. You kind of force the player to want to quickly time their jump so they can avoid the spines. Now let's try it. There's an opening here, boom. Or a more novice player might, maybe for this one it might be good to do two, since we already introduced the cadence of two swinging claws beforehand. So if we try this, right? Maybe like one here in between then, or the spinies, and another one in between the spinies. Now let's test it. So a more novice player can still do the challenge. There we go, we did it.
Then, it was time to publish the level. Mario Maker requires people to beat their level from start to finish, before it becomes public. This Upload check showcases the final hurdle of development, certification tests. For those of you who don't know, when uploading to Steam, Nintendo, or Xbox, the game has to pass a series of guidelines set by the respective platform. If the game fails certification, it gets sent back to the development team with a list of changes to be made before it can run through certification again. While Mario Maker doesn't make this checklist automatically, these designers get an understanding of what needs to get fixed before they finish the level. However, this wasn't the case for Escape the Cruise. Several students around the class took turns attempting to beat the level, but to no avail. We were surprised with how difficult it was to complete the level, more so than we expected. This is a common battle designers and playtesters face during the QA phase of game development. We finally beat the level from start to finish, but we had to beat it a second time as we had a checkpoint flag. Students were struggling with the swinging claws and spiny section in particular. Time was running out, and I had to make my train home before my other job shift started, so I jumped in last minute and breezed through the level. And thus, we did it! We passed the upload check and uploaded our level. If you'd like to play it for yourself, I'll put the ID on screen now. And there you have it. I hope this experience provides some insight into the level design and game development process. I want to thank Boston Cyberarts for the opportunity to collaborate with them again. This was a fun showcase of using video games as an educational tool in the classroom. I wish we could see this more often. More games should really take a page from Super Mario Maker 2 and other similar titles. Be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe if you're interested in any future gamification content in the future. Keep on dreaming, and remember, your life is your own.
Objection!